Hello, I am Wallas, the Polish toy guy, and today I think it's safe to say I am back from the void that is personal life and job in the pre-Christmas season. These are very draining and I have to put the priority on them, so that kind of worked against my reviewing schedule for quite a long time, but now I think everything is easing up, so we can go back to the review and transformation guide. Fun. So recently I reviewed Transformers Armada Deluxe class Smokescreen, and I thought why not take a look at his, shall we say, upgraded form, that is Transformers Armada Deluxe class Hoist. I can't say I've been watching Transformers Armada too carefully, but I still think that was not a show known for upgrading the characters by the means of giving them new bodies. Sure, redecos, plenty of them, but complete overhauls, not so much. So you could say Smokescreen is an interesting anomaly in this show, and in this new form, Smokescreen / Hoist is a Cybertronian, or at least a very futuristic excavator. And now let's try something new. First, let's talk about his size. So, length around 70 centimeters, width around 11 centimeters with the Mini-con ports sticking out, and height of around 10 centimeters up to the top of his shovel arm. So optically speaking, this is probably one of the biggest and most impressive deluxe class toys in this line. And it also looks quite nice, if not perhaps a bit odd. And one thing you may notice straight off the bat is that my toy had a bit of a, shall we say, white toy plastic tan syndrome going on. I think this was supposed to be brighter or even white at the beginning of its life, but I'm not the first owner of this particular copy of Hoist, so it was probably exposed to lots and lots of light before it came into my possession. So, let's talk about this thing, because many people point out this is not exactly something that would be easily connected to an actual excavator, despite having this for a very big standing out piece. But you have a very nice cockpit with painted windows, some nice bumper bits, grille inside. I somehow like these grinding bits in front of the threads, non-moving but nicely painted, and moving on 3 wheels. And we also have some nice details over here. I have to admit, molding on this toy is very nice, accentuated with paint in good places, so it does give off a good feeling of a mechanical construction vehicle. Even if the general idea of this toy may not be the best or the most acceptable, but as they say in my country, this toy does have elements that you can hang your eyes on. And also, yes, let's address the elephant in the room, or perhaps I should say Beast Wars Ironhide. This part is supposed to be in line with this part, which is not the case, which is very sad, but which I also hear is a common problem of this toy. It's just the case of the ratchet joint in this arm being not assembled well. So this is also probably something I can fix if I get to the bottom or perhaps to the center of this toy, but seeing how this is actually built, this may be a bit more tricky than I want to actually get my hands involved in. I mean, I'm not keeping this toy in alt mode all that much, so I think I'll live for the purpose of this review. Also, one more nitpick about this mode, for now at least, is that this is the only element that connects both of these thread modules, and if you put this toy on the shelf or just on the ground, this is very easy to disconnect. You just have to look at it wrong and it will already disconnect in handling. And of course it's not showing when I'm trying to show it in the review, but also it seems that the very main gimmick of this toy is against the show's and toy line's philosophy. And that philosophy being, gotta catch them all, get as many Mini-cons as possible, put them on your bigger toys to power them up, and also put one Mini-con in a special spot that will allow you to use the toy's main gimmick. And Hoist totally does not require you to do so. You can use it even without the Mini-con attached to the proper place, which in this case would be this piece over here. And as you can see, unlike this one, there's also this orange bit of plastic inside that suggests that there is a locking mechanism that can only be undone if there's a Mini-con sticking out from here, but no. You can use the main gimmick, which is stretching out the arm, without the Mini-con attached. And I admit that kind of looks cool, kind of like a shovel punch. For some reason reminds me of the Armed Force from Jace and the Wheeled Warriors, and that's always a nice connection in my head. But, oh no, I don't know. While we're on this topic, we can look at Refute, the upgraded form of Lifter and Hoist's designated Mini-con, which kind of looks like the modern version of Generation 1 Insecticon Shrapnel. Honestly, this brings only one image in my head, and that's Shrapnel, which is kind of odd. This doesn't really feel like an upgrade. Actually, Liftor's Forklift alt mode looked much better than this to me. I suppose it has kind of a futuristic vibe to it, but that's not enough for me to make this look interesting. Especially that the transformation is also much simpler, because we have the rolling gimmick that was shown, for example, in Deluxe Cyclonus's review. When it's not attached to a transformer, you can use this rubber band to make our Shrapnel wannabe roll on the floor with his pincers going closer and farther away. So that's not exactly the most interesting thing, I'm sorry, it really isn't. But the idea is that you use the Mini-con port, attach it over here, and honestly, it changes absolutely nothing. You could do this with Refute or without him. Also, it kind of looks much sillier with him around, so I'll pass. And one interesting thing about this that I could never figure out is that we have something spring-loaded over here. Recently I tried to actually push it out. Looks kind of like a lock with this notch especially in mind, so you can pull this in under the notch. And I have no idea what is this supposed to be doing here. It prevents you from actually releasing the arm forward. So you could say this is some kind of parental lock, but kind of unnecessary. But yeah, you can see there's a small hook-like thing inside there. So you would think that getting the Mini-con in here would actually push this out somehow to make this go away. But no, that seems to be done more by the fact that this can't hold the pressure applied to this bit. Oh, as you can see, this is not a topic easy to discuss. I wonder if I will ever know what was the idea behind this. I mean, the gimmick is nice, but why it was designed this way? And I suppose, given the trends in Transformers toys, you could actually call the fact that you can move the platform around mostly with ease a gimmick. Not every Transformer that has a supposedly moving turret can actually achieve this. So that's a big plus. And no, I have absolutely no idea what that sign is supposed to reference. If you have any idea about this, let me know in the comments, I'm curious. And before we go to the transformation sequence, let's see how Hoist looks compared to other toys I own. So let's start with something movie-esque. Here we have the very first movie Deluxe Jazz and the fairly new Studio Series Deluxe Class Stinger. And for Generation 1 related things, here we have Titans Return Deluxe Class Chrome Dome and Transformers Legends Deluxe Class Target Master Cup. And for a twist ending, something from Transformers Armada. Soon to be reviewed, Deluxe Sideways, and recently reviewed Deluxe Cyclonus. And with that said, we can now transform Hoist into his robot mode. But first, let's transform his Mini-con partner Refute. Very simple process considering what we see on his undercarriage. Just get your hands on these bits with the rear wheels, push down on both, rotate the legs, you're done. Now we can go to Hoist, and that's going to be just slightly more complex. First we want to get our hands on this lock that, like I said, has probably already undone itself all on its own. So yes, let's pretend it was not undone and let's undo it now on our own. Like that. Now we can use this hinge to swing this forward on this very nice clicky ratchet joint. And also we can pull out the leg. As you can see, there's a small tab that goes into this area over here. We can already also pull this down, pull this down, and pull it 180 degrees towards the center of the toy. And now we have a foot as well as the whole leg. So again, click it out, pull it down, swing it in, the legs are done. And now it's getting really simple. Now we pull this down, as well as pull down on the thumb and the fingers. Now we pull this down. And maybe we can rotate this out a bit if you so choose. And finally, the head, which was conveniently hiding on the back. So now we get our finger of our choice actually, push it up on this hinge so that it covers this really nicely painted bit. Sadly, it doesn't really lock into place. But oh well, we swing the head 180 degrees so it's facing forward. And with that said, Hoist's robot mode is complete. So again, first it's time for the measurements. So height, around 18 centimeters to the top of his highest Mini-con port. Width, which completely depends on how you want to spread out his arms, but let's say the default form is 14 centimeters. And should you need to put toys behind and in front of Hoist, he is around, let's say, 11 centimeters deep. So again, fairly big toy optically speaking, and I have to say, I really like what I see, and this is definitely an improvement over Smokescreen. Well, to be more accurate, it is 95% of the time, because I just can't get over how silly this left forearm looks. It looks just silly with this Mini-con port in the palm, and with you not being able to actually rotate this so that it looks like a normal hand. It looks like some kind of weird pincer claw. Really weird. I wish this toy had one more joint below the elbow so this could be remedied, but no, we have to work with that. Oh well, like I said, the rest of this toy looks really nice. It's actually really clean due to the transformation, and it really serves this robot well. It's a pleasure to look at Hoist from the majority of angles. And the color scheme is also nicely done. We have a very stark difference between the legs and the upper half. I like that, with some colors shared by both sections. It works well for a guy transforming into construction equipment. And it's also quite humanoid, which is also not something always given with Transformers Armada toys. So let's look at the details. Let's start with the head, which I do like. It's kind of like multi-layered, like he had some sort of mask between his face and his eyes. I like the effect. The head is overall looking like he's a tough construction guy. And I am aware that not everyone likes this head design, but for me it works more than well. We have nothing new on the chest area, and over here as well. Some details we haven't seen in vehicle mode. Autobot insignia works nice in this place. Again, really like all of these details. Oh, forgot to do that while transforming. That was easy to fix. And some extra details over here, nothing special here. I've seen that. But this looks really nice. We have several types of paint, which is nice. And this looks very humanoid, like I said. Very, shall we say, fit size, slim size. So it kind of almost counterbalances the powerful, tough look of the top, but still, I think overall it looks really nice. Even these very small feet that have no heels, but in my case, I've never experienced any balance issues with this toy. So overall presence, except for that, is, in my opinion, really nice. Now let's talk about gimmicks. Let's start with the most obvious one. The shovel arm punch still works without a Mini-con. Still like it a lot. All these moving parts really look nice. And also this actually kind of works like a limited rocket punch. Someone thinks he's out of Hoist's range. No, he isn't. Not a very good surprise on a battlefield. I don't know, it's simple yet somehow complex. And I like the final effect. And nothing really has changed in the power link department. Still 4 available Mini-con ports in the same spots as before. Though now one of them makes less sense than the others because with such position it's going to be hard to find any Mini-con that looks good there. Actually, I guess Refute looks best here in his robot mode, because yes, this looks silly, but with him attached over here, at least now we can wonder if maybe Hoist decided to go into ventriloquism business. And while we are on the topic of Refute, let's see what has changed since vehicle mode. Honestly, not that much. His robot mode is not very impressive, honestly speaking. The head is kind of not so interesting, it's kind of there. He has these very old-fashioned robot arms with pincer things that can just go forward and backward, as can his legs. Nice forward kick and decent backward kick. And you can also twist his waist for the transformation, and you can still use his shrapnel elements if you so choose, but overall this is sort of a boring Mini-con, and in my opinion is far inferior to Lifter that came with Smokescreen. And while we are on the topic of posability, let's check out Hoists, starting with his left hand because it's already showing what it can do. That's related to the transformation, but you can lift this up and close it if you so choose. Again, this is probably the worst part of the whole robot mode, so we can see it has an elbow. That's nice, and it can twist above the elbow. Okay, and it can spin around freely. That's good. And also go out a bit thanks to this hinge. I actually like the bits that are hidden inside. Kind of looks like some joint cover. That's always a nice thing. That recently is putting Gundam Thunderbolt into my mind. And over here on this arm, we can twist this. Very nice clicking sound, I like that. And again, same posability above the elbow. That's really good. And the head is on a ball joint, surprisingly for this series. So it can tilt down, up, to the side and spin freely if you need Hoist the Builder Exorcist mode, which can be also further enhanced by the fact that his waist moves. Completely unrelated to the transformation, which again is unique to this series. And it helps a lot in the posability. Honestly, I'm really surprised by the posability of this toy considering it comes from Armada. We have ball joints in the legs. They do not offer a full split, but anything above this is really great for this line. We also have really nice knees. And they click nicely. And we can stabilize the poses a bit with this hinge, and maybe work a bit with this hinge. Also related to the transformation, we have a very nice forward kick, and unrelated to the transformation, backward kick. By today's standards of Transformers, it's nothing special, but for Transformers Armada, this is really, really remarkable. And chances are, with a bit of time, you can come up with something far more stylish than this. And with that said, let's go for the robot mode comparisons. So let's start with Armada Transformers. Deluxe Cyclonus and Deluxe Smokescreen the Past Self. Movie style: Studio Series Deluxe Bumblebee and Dark of the Moon Voyager Shockwave. Generation 1 style: Reveal the Shield Deluxe Turbo Trax and Universe 2.0 Deluxe Silver Streak. And finally, real life object style: the common cola can, $1 American, and your typical CD case. So to sum it all up, I really like Armada Hoist, both as an individual toy and as a sort of evolution of Smokescreen, whose Mini-con gimmick I really liked, but the core figure not so much. Over here, I like the vast majority of this figure in both modes, except maybe for the ratchet in the left arm issue and the design of the left forearm. And the Mini-con is kind of boring, but the core figure I really like. I like the design, how the gimmick works, the posability is really surprising for this series. Overall, I think that if you like construction vehicle Transformers, Hoist is a good addition to your collection, both if you consider his in-series background and if you treat him as a complete stand-alone toy. And that's all for this video review. I will be back with the next one soon. And until then, stay well. Thank you for watching. Polish Toy Guy signing out.